Hello and welcome to 360 Sports and Trust TV. I am Emmanuel Fashimi. Those are good highlights of the MPFL game between Aqua United and Kano Pillars in the 2021-2022 league season. And you saw the highlights of just the recently concluded talent hunt program organized by FIFA, where about 120 players were invited to Abuja here at the practice pitch of the Moshood Abela National Stadium with under Coach Bassi. It is a program launched by FIFA to actually to scout for talent. On that note, we'll be starting the program this morning because we have a whole lot to talk about on the show and to look at it, because it was a packed weekend full of action, and a lot of persons I know they will be disappointed with some results of games, and also the big one that happened at the Wembley Stadium in London, in England, where 96,000 fans were disappointed by that outing between Anthony Joshua, that is AJ as he's called, and Daniel Dubois, and that is where we'll start from this morning. After that fight, Joshua promises to keep fighting, and then thumbs up Dubois for putting up a very good show. In the fifth round, Joshua was knocked out in that particular fight, and it's not what a lot of fans expected for Anthony Joshua, because a lot of persons actually believed that Joshua was going to get the better of Daniel Dubois and win the IBF belt title, but it is not. It is what it is. It meant not to happen. On the 21st of September, right there at Wembley Stadium, Anthony Joshua was beaten black and blue by Daniel Dubois, and if you actually watch that fight, a lot of mistakes from Anthony Joshua, though those are it's not an excuse. He actually prepared for this fight, and eventually he was knocked out in the fifth round of the bout between himself and Daniel Dubois. Daniel Dubois, out of 21 fights he had before this fight with Joshua, he had 20 knockouts, and then now he has made it 21 knockouts compared to Anthony Joshua's victory. All right, we have Abba Michael joining up on the show this morning, and I believe Abba Michael himself was disappointed with the outcome of that fight at Wembley Stadium, because Anthony Joshua didn't really come to the party, and he was beating black and blue. Michael, welcome to 360 Sports on Trust TV.
In Anthony Joshua, but every other thing that happened within England, it was a sad weekend entirely for me as far as England is concerned. I mean, Anthony Joshua's weakness has read his own right hand.
Okay, Michael, we are struggling to hear from your end. I just have to correct that. The audio from your end is not really getting to us here in the studio, but from what he was saying from the onset is that it was disappointment for himself and a lot of spectators, a lot of boxing fans, a lot of Joshua's fans out there, because they actually expected Anthony Joshua to do so well in this fight, get the win and get the victory. But it wasn't meant to happen on the night where Anthony Joshua was beaten in the fifth round of this particular fight. And if you definitely follow that fight from the beginning, even from the press conference, from the weigh-in and what have you, Anthony Joshua looked more prepared, looked more like someone who could get a win in this fight. But eventually, in the fifth round, when that fight started from the first round, Anthony Joshua was not really looking like someone who could actually get maybe get a victory. All right, Abba Michael, if you look at Anthony Joshua from the beginning of that fight, the boys, in fact, from the first round, the boys looked more of tactical, technical, and look more serious than Anthony Joshua, who we all thought, okay, despite we know it was not going, it's not going to be an easy ride for him, but from the first round, Anthony Joshua just looked like someone who didn't even prepare at all for the fight.
Of course, he came unprepared. Even when the celebrations that brought him in started, I saw the look on his face. His confidence was completely zero. This is not the Anthony Joshua I used to know. I mean, the Anthony Joshua, the puncher, the big fighter that we knew was completely absent. I mean, he left his A game at home. After all his preparation, he left all the preparation at home and came empty-handed. Even his positioning was extremely poor. I mean, he wasn't even properly, he stood improperly and he positioned himself on parallel, and Dubois had the opportunity, I mean, to take every big shot he had. His Anthony Joshua's defense was extremely poor. He was defenseless. I mean, despite the big shoulders, big arms, he just couldn't use it well. And his stance was extremely poor. I mean, the rating, this is the worst outing I've seen from Anthony Joshua. I've seen him fight Usyk. I mean, I've seen him fight Joseph Parker. I've seen him take a couple of fights, but I've never seen him like this. Even against Ngannou, he looked very composed. But this time around, he looked completely discombobulated. This is not the Anthony Joshua we used to know. Unfortunately, after the fight, he said he's a warrior. He took a shot at success, but came up short. I want to say to him, no, you did not fight like a warrior. You came fighting like a coward. Sorry to use that language, but he came as an intimidated figure. And Dubois, when he noticed that in the fourth round, he finished Joshua off in the fifth round.
Okay, before that fight, on paper, and Joshua looks favorably, and during the press conference and the weigh-in, we saw how even Daniel Dubois was trembling. Let me also, his hands were shaking. He couldn't even answer questions from the press. The journalists, they just asked him question, and he refused to answer. He just gave just one word, and that was all. So everybody was thinking, okay, from the beginning, it looks as if Daniel Dubois has thrown in the towel. This is on the flip side. What do you think went wrong? Some persons, like I said, on the flip side, were saying, okay, Anthony Joshua lost that fight purposely, but I don't think so.
Actually, Daniel Dubois, during the interview, when he looked at Joshua, he looked at the Joshua in the Bible that said, as for me and my household, we will serve the Lord. Unfortunately, when he got to the ring, the Joshua he met was not the same Joshua that said, as for me and my household, we will serve the Lord. He met an intimidated Joshua. He met a Joshua who saw Israelites, who saw themselves as grasshoppers before the Israelites. It took him 3 rounds to realize that that Joshua he feared was not present in that Wembley arena. And when he got to that realization, he took advantage of the opportunity. I mean, Joshua should easily have knocked this guy out in the 5th round. We saw Dubois against Usyk. It's clear that Joshua should be the superior athlete, but he didn't just let England down. He let 200 million Nigerians he also let us down. Apart from the fact that we're having our own personal challenges, we thought Joshua would have given us a little sigh of relief and something to talk about, but here we are crying alongside him.
Okay. Now, moving forward, after that fight, he actually granted an interview, and he said he actually said a lot of things and give kudos to the boys. But now he continued to talk that he wants to continue fighting, and I don't know if choice of him continue to fight. On that very night, there was a confirmation from Dehane, his promoter, that there's going to be a rematch between him and Daniel Dubois.
Yes, there should always be a rematch. We saw the Klitschko brothers fighting to their late 30s, early 40s. I mean, even Mike Tyson at 60, he still wants to go and fight. I don't know if he wants to be killed on the boxing arena. I mean, we see so many boxers, even Muhammad Ali, in his late 30s, he still went to fight Holmes, Larry Holmes. I mean, so many boxers, they don't always believe in themselves. Even when they're in the twilight, they believe that they are still 10 years, they are still have the strength of 10 years ago. I mean, look at Joshua, look at him. Even his punches, you will see that he lacks a lot of grit and confidence. How can you be taking a punch to your opponent's face and you are the one falling down? It shows that you are not a counter puncher and you didn't go with a plan B or an alternative strategy. And that was why he was floored by Daniel Dubois.
Okay, that's why he was beaten black and blue by Daniel Dubois. Well, let's see that rematch. What will happen between him and Daniel Dubois in the rematch? If he's going to get his own revenge in the rematch. We saw what he did that against Andy Ruiz Jr. After he lost to Andy Ruiz Jr., he came back in the rematch and he was able to win. And there is, let's see if it will go the same way. All right, let's leave Anthony Joshua. Let's leave boxing and take a cheering story this time around of coming in from Rwanda. That is Nigeria under-19 cricket women in their first game for the under-19 cricket World Cup qualifier that will be played next year in Malaysia. They defeated Tanzania by 4 wickets in the opener. I think it is a good news for the 19 ladies who have started the qualifiers on a good note. They are looking forward to pick the second ticket to represent Africa in the World Cup.
Yes, we are so happy for the girls. If there is one sport that has been in the limelight lately, I think it is the cricket sport. And the ladies have been making us proud. Cricket generally, we've been having wonderful outings. I just wish and hope that it will give this sport more publicity. We want to see more cricket showings. I don't know, it's just that the sport is not so popular in the country, but we want secondary schools and other institutions to embrace cricket and make it a part of their mainstream. We want to see cricket grow in leaps and bounds. And we are glad that at the top level we are getting it right and we're catching them young as teenagers. I'm sure by the time they make 1 or 2 advancements, we will definitely see world cricket stars emanating from Nigeria.
Okay, emanating from Nigeria. They will be taking on their second game, Zimbabwe, later on today. I think that game will be played later on this afternoon, precisely against Zimbabwe. The games are ongoing in Kigali, Rwanda, precisely. That is where they are playing. So let's wish them well. If they can get the second one, though they top the group as it stands after that first win with 4 wickets against Tanzania. If they get the second win against Zimbabwe, then they'll put themselves on the driving seat proper, and then we can just they can continue to progress and see if they will pick the second ticket to join South Africa, who has already qualified for the under-19 cricket Women's World Cup that will be coming up next year in Malaysia. Like you said, Michael, you are sure to get all of these stories, mostly on Trust TV, on our sports program. We bring it to you, to your screen. All right, let's leave cricket and talk the round leather game. Also, it was not a good outing for us on the continent, but we can smile at the other side. Enyimba true as Rangers crash out of Champions League. Yes, Enyimba continues to progress in the CAF Confederations Cup, while we don't have any team in the Champions League anymore, as Rangers crashed out 3-2 on aggregate after losing 3-1 to Sagrada Esperança of Angola right there in that is in Angola. That game came up in Angola, and as we speak, Nigerian champions, that is the MPFA champions, are out of the CAF Champions League. Michael, we continue, the trajectory continues on our very poor outing when it comes to continental assignment.
Yes, I mean, we are obviously not reading our scripts. You cannot repeating the same thing every year and expect a different result. We have not changed our approach. We are still doing the old-fashioned way since the 2003-2004 double Enyimba winners. We've not really had our hands on that trophy, and here we are. We can't even get into the, money-spinning group stages. It's rather unfortunate. I know Rangers are a wonderful team. They are a great team headed by Fidelis Ilechukwu. But right now, when it comes to the continental affair, We have still not gotten it right. But we're happy for Emba because they've shown that they are the most reliable team when it comes to the continental showpiece. They are true to the money spinning group stages of the Confederation Cup. We cannot but wish them all the best. They have really given us a reason to smile. I think that we still have even the two other teams at the continental level couldn't just find anything out of the first round.
Okay, now, Michael, it has become obvious that we have not really, in fact, we have not started and we are yet to start. What can we do to rewrite the script? The last time we had success is still the same Enyiba who are progressing right now. They have that experience of playing on the continent. What can other clubs do? Last season we saw how Remo Stars, even this season the same thing, how Remo Stars crashed out. Now Enugu Rangers, though they gave their all, they gave their best, but how can we really rewrite this script, change the narratives? At least we want to see a Nigerian club playing at least the quarterfinal. Let's even get to the quarterfinal of the CAF Champions League or the Confederations Cup.
Yes, I mean, it all boils down to the support. I know that the state governments actually support the teams in the best way they can, but I always say this, when it comes to the continental showpiece, we want them to get more attention. I can assure you that a team like Al Ahly, for instance, or maybe a certain experience of Tunisia, they get beyond the attention of the clubs. I mean, the nation itself even focuses on the team, ensuring that they provide everything that the team needs in order to succeed. But we must be honest with the fact that for all these other African teams, most of their best players actually play in their countries. But for Nigeria, when a player becomes good, when he becomes phenomenal, the next thing is going abroad. It's either going to Norway or it's going to Sweden. So sometimes we're not able to tie down or keep our very best players in the African League. And when that happens, we end up fielding our second best to represent most of the teams in the Nigerian Professional Football League. And so, because of their quest, they need to improve the welfare of the athletes. If you want the Japa syndrome of the athletes to reduce, then the welfare of the athletes have to be catered for. Unfortunately, we're in a place where inflation is not favorable. But if they can even get it right, if you give them a salary that is equal to what they can get in Asia, I tell you what, our best players will stick around our best team and will get better results when the continental showpiece comes up.
Okay, we'll get better result when the continental showpiece comes up. And for Enyiba, congratulations to them for moving ahead. They won via penalties against Tuafilante of Burkina Faso, and now they have progressed into the next round. 3-2 that game ended after a goalless draw in both games, and that is the Gospel Akwabi International Stadium. And then they were able to progress, like I said, 3-2 on penalties. And for Enugu Rangers, yes, they lost 3-1 away after winning 1-0 here in aggregate. In total, it was 3-2 against them. If they had lost 3-2, they would have qualified courtesy of 2 away goals, since we are still using the away goal rules here on the continent of Africa. But if you want to look at it in Europe, the away goal rules has been cancelled. So despite that, even though they want to look at goals, on goal difference, they have 3 goals compared to 2 goals of that is Enugu Rangers. That is what it is in the CAF Champions League. This time around, still staying on the continent, but let's talk national team assignment. Yes, for the 2025 Africa Cup of Nations between the Knights of Libya and Super Eagles of Nigeria, the dates for that game has been confirmed. Michael, I think CAF is doing all it can. I love working with the national teams to see that, yes, they have a very good qualifiers. But the game between the Knights of Libya and the Super Eagles of Nigeria has gotten the date. The date has been fixed.
Yes, I mean, it's a good thing, the fact that we are sitting comfortably on the driver's seat. I think Nigeria leads the pack against Libya, Benin, and the rest of them. It shows that, like I said in the last interview we had, Ekwapon, the technical director, got it right in that encounter. We hope that Libya shouldn't be such a big deal. I know there are no minnows in African football, but we expect that both home and away they should be able to get the maximum points. Just get the players ready, ensure that they are all in game shape. Let them be in the best of spirits so that they can face this continental assignment come 11th and 15th in Uyo and Tripoli respectively. I still believe so much in this team where we have done well in the first part of the qualifiers. I expect us to take a bigger step and, if possible, increase the gap so that we will know that the African Continental Showpiece is a guarantee.
Yes, Africa Continental Showpiece is a guarantee. The games are two double-header. The first game will be on the 11th at the 11th of October at the Godswill Akpabio International Stadium here in Nigeria. That is in Uyo, and then the return leg will be played in Tripoli. That is 5 days later on the 15th. The return leg will be played right there in Tripoli, Libya, precisely between the Knights of Libya and the Super Eagles of Nigeria. All right, let's leave Super Eagles and come back home. Let's look at some league games, but we'll start with the Nigerian Premier Football League. It was match day 3 in the Nigerian Premier Football League. I love what is happening. Michael, before we bring up the result, quickly, I think the Premier League, the Nigerian Premier League this time around, I'm actually proud of what I'm seeing. Match day 3. Look at the away wins in match day 3. Look at goals scored. In fact, I think I give kudos to Benga Legbeleye and his board member for actually bringing life back into the Nigerian Premier Football League.
Yes, I mean, a great deal. Much, I almost said vote buying, but much buying has been called to the barest minimum. We have seen that even though I'm on the side of Plateau United that lost at home, it's a sad one for my team. But we saw, I think, Rivers able to clinch victory away.
To Lobby.
We saw other teams able to get Lobby, yes, against Lobby. They're able to get victories away. 4 away victories in 1 weekend. My goodness. Nigeria Professional Football League is born again. I mean, I never expected I would ever see this in my lifetime. I mean, look at El Kanemi against Nasarawa United. Who would have thought that Remo would get a win at the Sani Abacha All-Star Stadium?
Yes, in Kano.
This is unprecedented. Yes, it's unprecedented. 4 away victories. I think there's a lot of sanctification and cleansing that has been going on in the Nigerian Professional Football League. I hope that if they keep this pace, our referees will begin to get call-ups for AFCON, and maybe we'll see an increase, a drastic quantum increase in number of Nigerian officials who will make it to maybe the continental showpiece as match officials. So it's a good one for the league, but maybe a bad one for my team, Plateau United. Show that they are still the top dogs in the MPFL.
Yes, Remo Stars shows that, yes, they are still the team to beat in the MPFL. The road to the Premier League Summit. Let's have the full result quickly, and we'll just read it out like you heard from Michael. 4 away wins in the Nigerian Premier Football League for match day 3. Massive improvement, and it's what it is, and it is what we want to see in our league. Plateau United at the Jos Township Stadium lost 2-1 to Niger Tornadoes. Heartland FC of Owerri getting their first point of the season. They played a goalless draw against Katsina United at home, and Kano Pillars at the Sani Abacha Stadium, despite they played almost 13 minutes extra time in that game. Remo Stars was able to hold on, and it was 2-0 against Kano Pillars at the Sani Abacha Stadium. Sunshine Stars of Akure and Abia Warriors at the Sunshine Stars Stadium in Akure, that is Akure Township Stadium, ended on a goalless affair, and Ikorodu City was able to also got their first point of the season against Kwara United right there in Ilorin. They played a goalless and a goalless draw. Lobby Stars were pipped 1-0 by Rivers United at their adopted home ground in Lafia. And now for Rivers United, they've not lost a game this season under their new coach, that is Finidi George. And then it was a 7-goal thriller at the Lafia Township Stadium between Academy Warriors and Nasarawa United. 4-3 that game ended, 7 goals in that game, and we have almost 7, 8, 9. We have almost 12, 13 goals thereabout. I'll be 14 goals scored on match day 3 of the Nigerian Premier Football League, and we have some good games, some clean sheets, but 3 clean sheets also for those goalkeepers. That is a Ikorodu game against Kwara, Sunshine Zabia Warriors, and then Heartland Katsina United. Big one, big game for the weekend in the Nigerian Premier Football League. Like you heard Michael saying, yes, if we can continue in this trajectory, definitely we'll begin to produce stars, we'll begin to do well on the continent, and it's going to be a plus for our referees who will begin to get at least invited for FIFA games, call them for FIFA games, AFCON games, and then maybe the West African, as in the regional games. We'll be seeing our referees officiating in some of these competitions. Michael, I think it's a good one for our referees, like you mentioned.
Yes, it's a good one for our referees. I don't know if you also observed that there was no home team that won this weekend.
Yes.
It seems like no home team.
No home team won
this weekend. So no home team won. So I mean, it shows that even the states concerned are beginning to get cleansed. Somehow they don't meddle into the affairs of the referees anymore, which is very good for our league. At least it shows that the league is becoming cleaner and cleaner and more reliable, the officiating. I hope it will continue in this trajectory. We hope we won't see controversies going forward. But this is a very big step and right step in the right direction. Kudos to the Gbenga Elegbele and led executives for a job well done.
Yes, for a job well done. We begin to love the Nigerian Premier Football League. Good one, good games on the weekend for match day 3 in the MPFL. All right, let's leave the MPFL. We'll go straight to Europe. I know a lot of fans are expecting this, but the way you are supporting the European clubs also start supporting the Nigerian Premier Football League. We've seen games in the MPFL this weekend, an interesting result. But we'll start with EPL from the European scene. Yes, the big one happened. It was a Super Sunday at the Etihad, and no winner, no vanquish. It is what it is. 2-2 at the end of 90 minutes in that game, with the additional extra 8 minutes added, 7 minutes added to that game, and then the 2-2 between Arsenal, the Gunners, and the Sky Blue team from Manchester, who are there at the home at the Etihad, and it was a 2-2 draw. Michael, I know you're itching to say something. Definitely, you will say something. But before you react, let's just look at the result. Let's look at the full result. It's on the screen. We have Brighton and Nottingham Forest playing a 2-2 draw, and the Manchester City Arsenal 2-2. West Ham United in the London Derby. They've lost 2 London Derby. That's for West Ham back-to-back. They lost last weekend to Tottenham, and now they lost to Chelsea. 3-0 that game ended. Jackson getting goals in that game. Aston Villa against Wolves 3-1. We have Fulham beating Newcastle United 3-1. Leicester City and Everton played a 1-1 draw. Liverpool trashed Bournemouth 3-0, coming back after losing to Nottingham Forest last weekend, previous weekend. We have Southampton and Ipswich Town also playing a 1-1 draw. Tottenham Hotspur trashed Brentford 3-1. Crystal Palace and Manchester United played a goalless draw at Selhurst Park. I think it is only Man U game that didn't produce goals this weekend. And now, Michael, yes, let's pick at least 2 of this game, and we'll start with Arsenal and Manchester City at Etihad.
Yes, I mean, for the first time, I would say this. I saw Nigerian referees look better than him. I mean, suffice it to say, shame on Michael Oliver. How can you ruin a big game with a meaningless red card? You get a red card for a mere push, something that most referees won't even give a card for. How can you extend a game, they say extra 4 or 5 minutes, you left the game extra 7 or 8 minutes first half, and then as if that was not enough, you now went ahead to flash a red card. Michael Oliver is a fan of Manchester City. I don't need any soothsayer to tell me that. The second half, they gave extra 7 minutes. It was 97 minutes, yet he would not even blow the whistle, and then he waited until an equalizer came. I won't even hold that against him, but what I hold against him is the fact that you don't ruin a big game. I mean, sometimes I wonder what goes on in the minds of these referees. They let their emotions get the better of them on a very big stage. He was supposed to control himself. Was it even close to an 18-yard box when Trossard pushed Bernardo Silva? I don't know why these referees are too quick to make irrational decisions. I mean, his thought process was completely compromised. I'm so disappointed in Michael Oliver, but it's not about Michael Oliver. He was not the star of the show. I mean, look at even Aketa at the interview. He was so tense that he couldn't even utter his anguish against Michael Oliver, and he had to just reserve it for fear of being sanctioned. But we must give kudos to that Arsenal defense. My oh my, Gabriel is something else. I think Gabriel Megale should be the one called Gabriel Jesus, because he played like son of Jesus on that match day, leaping like, I mean, a high jumper. Perhaps he should have gotten succeeded in a high jump career if he didn't make it in football. Arsenal has shown that even in the last 2-3 seasons, they have actually been better than Manchester City. They've just been losing the league because last season was because they lost home and away to Aston Villa. But we must give kudos, to Arsenal, denying Erling Haaland his 100th Premier League goal. I think that's a big one. And Fiore's stunning finish, we mustn't forget that. It was a big match, it was a good match. 4 matches, Man City cannot defeat Arsenal. It shows who is actually the boss.
Okay, now, Mike, I know you are not a referee. Let's look at it from that angle. I'm not a referee. You're not a referee. But I think if you look at some calls from that game, we might not dwell on the referee side, because I think the game actually lived up to his billing. We saw quality match. But for some of the officiating, like the red card, quickly, there was a push. And Trossard, because let's correct this, it wasn't a straight red card, because some persons were thinking it's a straight red card. It's a second yellow card that was given to Trossard. And once you have 2 yellow cards in a game, automatically 2 yellow cards means it turns to a red card. It was a push it was a push, definitely, but given that yellow card at that point in time, it's a 50-50 decision. I don't know if you agree with me. It's either you give or you let go. But, emotion sometimes sets in and it just takes over us and we just let it go. But let's look at the quality of the game. I think both teams actually played very well.
Yes, we saw the best attack versus the best defense. Arsenal arguably has the best goalkeeper and the 2 best defenders in the league, while Manchester City has the best set of attackers in the league, or perhaps even the midfield, with the exception of Odegaard. And so it was quality offense versus quality defense. Why I'm happy with the referee is because he should have allowed us enjoy good football the way we did in the first half. The first half saw high quality exchange of offense, but because of that red card, he ruined the game, and we saw a lopsided second half. Even though the second half has shown that Arsenal's defense is actually top quality and arguably the best in the English Premier League. But please, I wish these referees can be receiving some sound of warning after this type of officiating. There were several calls that he made were questionable, controversial calls within the game. But we'll just leave that. I know that tackle, I know it's a 50-50 for Trossard's second yellow card, but I felt the first half was already over. Why can't you just allow the first half to go? And then we see other referees, when the player commits a second foul, they don't issue second yellow. They give the player one or two more opportunities to misbehave. They don't just flash the second yellow immediately. We've seen it happen. We've watched hundreds of matches. The Michael Oliver, 39-year-old, officiating as if he just started last week.
Okay, let's quickly just run over the table as we'll go straight and look at La Liga. There were games also in the weekend in La Liga. We can see Man City back to the summit of the table with 13 points. Liverpool third with 12 points. We have Aston Villa also there with 12 points. Arsenal 11 points, occupying the fourth position. Tottenham is 10th with 7 points, and we have Man United leading the second half of the table. And Wolves, Everton, Southampton, the three bottom teams having won 1 point. All right, let's go straight to La Liga. Also, the weekend in La Liga, it was a good one, a good weekend for the top teams, the big teams in La Liga. For Barcelona, 5-1, they trashed Villarreal yesterday, and for Madrid also they got a win in the weekend. All right, we have Getafe and Leganés playing in 1-1. Athletic Club and Celta Vigo 3-1. Villarreal lost to Barcelona 5-1. Rayo Vallecano and Atletico Madrid played with 1-1 draw. Real Valladolid and Real Sociedad goalless draw. Osasuna 2-1. Against Las Palmas. Valencia 2, getting their first win of the season. Good one for Valencia against the runners-up last season, that is for Girona. And Real Madrid trashed Espanyol 4-1. Michael, Madrid continues to struggle. Despite their struggling, they are grinding out wins. They struggle against Espanyol, but people don't really want to see, fans want to see good football, want to see a blend of football up front. Kylian Mbappe, Vini Jr., Rodrigo, and co. They are still struggling, but despite with their struggles, they are able to at least pick the points, win the games, or probably get a draw.
Yes, I mean, they had a very clinical finish in this game against Espanyol. I mean, kudos to Rodrigo. That kid is something else. I also saw Hendrick. I mean, that's a small, I call him a small machine because he has this Ronaldinho touch, garnish all over his feet. He has magic in his feet, and so it was a very, very good outing, especially as the result I said. But the big one for me is looking like, first of all, Barcelona, Lewandowski. I think that Ballon d'Or of 2020 should be given to him. The guy just can't stop scoring. That COVID Ballon d'Or should be given to Lewandowski. I heard they were about to give him that. I don't know if they've done it. If they've not done it, please, they should return his Ballon d'Or to him. And then we saw Barcelona refusing to leave the tabletop. I think they have about 18 points already. And the big one for me was even Athletic Club. They are looking better than Atletico Madrid this season. I mean, the Athletic Club, they are showing that perhaps after the top two teams, they are the team to look out for. They've had a reasonable season so far. I mean, they've had 13 points from how many matches played? 7 matches played. It shows that if Atletico Madrid doesn't sit up, if they don't stay on their toes, Athletic Club may just collect that third spot from them. We haven't seen Girona. It seems like they had a fairy tale season last season, but this season they seem to have gone back to the old guard. I thought they were a departure from that last season, but this season it seems like they have gone back to the courts.
Okay, they have gone back to the court. Let's have the table back on the screen. We'll just run quickly over the table. Barcelona top with 18 points. Real Madrid second with 14 points. And then Athletic Club third with 13 points. Eighth here, that is Atletico Madrid at fourth with 12 points. And we'll see Real Betis finishing the first side of the table with 8 points. And Las Palmas end the other side of the table with 2 points. And Real Mallorca leading the charge on the second side of the table. All right, before we go on the show, let's quickly look at some transfer stories because we're almost out of time. Manchester City keep close tabs on Bayern Munich midfielder Jamal Musiala. Michael, quickly one or two about this. I think this deal might just go through because Man City is really on the tails of this fantastic young man.
And Man City needs to maintain another 7 years of winning streak. The only midfielder with the capacity, the only young player with the capacity to fill that void is this Jamal Musiala. I think he is the Kevin De Bruyne of the Bundesliga, and that's why Man City want to get him by all means so that they can build another team for another generation, just the way Alex Ferguson did in his time, ensuring that he has the player to carry a generation, and that was the secret of his success. I think Guardiola wants to replicate that type of legendary touch.
Okay, all right, this next one is Newcastle United continues to monitor Everton striker Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Calvert-Lewin is a fantastic guy for Everton, and Newcastle don't want to back out of this deal. Maybe they can just get him in January. Okay, the last.
He's a very solid.
Go ahead, Michael.
He's a solid average player, and yes, Newcastle, they've had a beautiful season, maybe except for yesterday. They want to really continue to build on it, and this player will definitely add a little punch, a little layer to their offensive touch in order for them to keep tabs to the tabletop. I think that's a player, a reliable player. He has an area of prowess that they can rely upon. So I think they should keep going for that player. Everton, I don't know, they're just releasing for a more serious team.
Are you saying Everton is not serious? But that is going to be talk for another day. The last one, Arsenal. You guys continue to scout for players, and other persons come and just buy them, and they will come good for those teams. Now, Arsenal, Tottenham, Chelsea, Liverpool shows interest in Sporting striker Victor Gyökeres. Arsenal was the first team to actually scout for this guy to get him, but now you have the two London clubs joining, and then Liverpool also in the race for Victor Gyökeres. Okay, all right, that is where we'll be leaving it on the show. Thanks, Abba Michael, for joining on 360 Sports this morning. It was a beautiful weekend. Like I said, continue to support the way you support European teams, support the Nigerian Premier Football League, watch our games, get a team in the Nigerian Premier Football League that you support. All right, thanks to Abba Michael for joining on the show. All right, that is it on the program. I am Emmanuel Fashimi. Say thanks for watching.